Hello and welcome to the Asshole Book Club. Today... Hey, why did my format change? I'm gonna be looking at RPG horror stories, just like my last two videos. If these three videos don't do well, then I'll probably, move back to other stuff because I don't really need to... I don't know, I go where the views take me. Or where other people's feedback takes me, if I get feedback from anyone. Alright, like in my last two videos, if you have seen these stories before on other people's channels, sorry about that. I don't watch other RPG horror stories channel except maybe Crit Crab and Den of the Drake, and I haven't actually watched any of their recent videos, so I don't know what they've been covering. Yeah, that's about all I have to say. I'll just go straight down the line to a post that was 2 days ago. That has a blue tag called Meta Discussion, but I feel like all these stories are meta, so it's a moot point. Do I tell a kicked player that it wasn't an individual decision? Question mark? I have to wait for my thing to load. And this is relatively short, so I might actually do two stories. I was thinking of just doing one, but because my phone only has so much storage in it, but oh well. I'll do two. Playing with close friends, all newbies bar me and one guy. Long story short, I kicked a problem player for metagaming, main character syndrome, constant arguing, selfish behavior in general, blah blah, that was impacting everyone. I talked with the other players about it, and we all agreed his playstyle wasn't compatible. So when I spoke to him about it, I downplayed the impact it was having on the others. I basically just described why it wasn't working for me. This has caused a minor problem where he thinks it was just my issues that caused him to be kicked out. He asked me if I told the other players he wouldn't be playing, and I said I had and that they were understanding. I didn't tell him we'd all discussed it previously. What do you reckon? Should I have been more honest? It bothers me. He thinks it's just a me problem because I don't feel he understands it's a him problem primarily. But I also don't want to create a situation where he feels everyone is against him. I can live with not telling him and just copying it, but should I? Mostly looking for a discussion. How would you handle it? I think you should tell him, just lay out all of the problematic behavior he has, tell him to adjust that and tone it down a bit, and then bring him back for one more session if the same behavior emerges. Then tell him that he's just not compatible with the group. Easy peasy, don't even need to look at the comments. Mainly because the first comment I saw was more paragraphs than the original post. Why? Just why? Also 2 days ago, the title of this one is Healer Accuses Necromancer of Abuse, Then Threatens to Leave the Game, with a self-harm warning. So if you don't like any mentions of a fictional character killing themselves, then now is your chance to bail. Bear in mind that this is all fictional, Alright. Before I get into things, some background is needed. I just started a new campaign not too long ago, feeling good about the players I've selected. 2 are friends I've played with before several times, and 2 are new. Also important to note, this game is being played entirely online? Wow, I turned into Scooby-Doo for a minute. Online. Anyway, the 4 players are Sorcerer, who is one of my friends IRL, Necromancer, who is new to my games, Healer, who I've played one-shots with before, and a Pugilist, who is also new to my games. What system are you playing? Is what I would like to know. Anyway, after I had gathered the players, we all assembled for a session 0. We all had a fun time. I outlined the lore and homebrew I'd been using. Everyone got along well, and all was good. Fast forward to the day before session 1, there's a small dispute between the healer and the necromancer. The players had been talking about their classes and such, and healer made a comment about how she felt useless because other players had buffs. The way it was written came across as a joke, which is what the intention was. Necromancer responded by saying some of the ways druids could get in DPS and other forms of utility, and healer got mad. Eventually, they work it out, and I don't need to get involved, and we start session 1 in good faith. I mean, druids, as far as D&D goes, can sometimes have the highest damage output of any other class. And later in game, they have some of the most devastating spells, so I don't know. Maybe they just don't know how to play a druid, if it is D&D. As session 1 begins, I go through the introductions. Each player gets a chance to show off their characters and personalities, and things continue without any problems. At the end of the session, I ask if they would like a short rest, to which the group agrees why not. The day after is when the trouble begins. Just a nitpick thing, but if the trouble didn't start until the second session, then just start your story there. I feel like telling us nothing went wrong in the first session is just unnecessary. The pugilist asks in chat why exactly we took a short rest because they didn't exactly expend a lot of resources. Necromancer links a webpage that lists some of the things you can do and says it's like training, hit dice, etc. Healer then enters the conversation and makes a comment about how it's not really worth it because training takes forever. Necromancer says they were only linking possible options and that most were for flavor, not rules as written. Healer then says, just making a friendly remark, guess I'm not allowed to talk now. The Necromancer replies with, you should have just given these people names. Replies with, that's not what I said, but if you have an issue, we can handle it in character. I'm just going to remove myself from the situation. After that, Healer begins to DM me, saying that what Necromancer said hurt their feelings. I said I'd talk to them about it, and shortly afterward, Healer messaged me again, saying they abused them and triggered their PTSD. Oh my goodness. And Necromancer is making them feel unsafe. I continue to say that I will discuss with the Necromancer, and they begin to adamantly request that they need to be kicked from the game because of what they said. Note, this entire time they have not cited any private messages between the two, nor even mentioned that anything happened in DMs between them. So I asked the Necromancer about it, they explain their side, and end up agreeing that Healer is overreacting. By the time I look at the DMs with Healer, they have begun a rant about how everyone is discriminating against them for their autism, that this is abuse and bullying, that they are going to OD on alcohol if nothing is done. By this time, I have already decided that I would not be kicking Necromancer, and when Healer learns that the Healer learns this, they completely lose it, going off that I am discriminating, that I must hate them because I won't do what they want, etc. Eventually, they leave the server before I have a chance to talk to them. They leave with a message of saying they will probably OD because of this rampant abuse of the Necromancer. I feel kind of responsible for what happened, even though Healer was definitely overreacting, so do you think I could have stopped this in any way, or is Healer at fault here? I'm at the point where I'm not entirely sure, but I hope they end out okay. I don't think there's much you could have done. Like, the argument started over something that had, like, little importance at all. Someone just posted rules, and then someone got bitchy about it. I don't fucking know. As far as threatening to OD on alcohol, chances are that's not going to happen because the person is just really attention seeking and hyper confrontational. So you're not at fault here, and it's probably best that they left your game. But that brings up an important issue, and that's just online RPG games in general. Like, I've had very little positive experiences with an online RPG because, well, it's really hard to just make those work. You know, strangers online that don't already have a group probably don't have a group because people don't want to play with them. So they throw themselves into whatever group they can, and it ends up being terrible. But yeah, you're fine. I hope the other player's fine, and I'm done with the story. And I'm done with this video. So leave a comment down below. Do you have any stories you'd like to share? Do you want to hear about some of my experiences with online gaming? I don't know. Like and subscribe to see more. This might be my last RPG horror story video. It all depends on how well these do. Have a good day, everyone. I will see you later, and hey-da.